So then, walking up the Chollenue Road to see Ian Everett's Aces. Of course, Bolton Wanderers this week weren't at the races because, well, there's no race. The only race that matters, Danny, is tomorrow night. And of course, we're not even thinking about Tuesday night. It's one game at a time as far as we're concerned. The league season is over. This is a cup competition. It may as well be the FA Cup, the League Cup, the Papa John's Trophy as it was last season, the Bristol Street Motors Trophy. It is the League One playoffs. It's a knockout competition. There's 2 legs in the semis and then a massive game at Wembley to come for Bolton Wanderers to get into the Championship for the first time in 5 years. So it's one of those situations right now, this, where what you can't allow to get into your head, not just as fans and as players and the manager and as a whole club, the desperation to do it, and then it all ends up getting a bit, the desperation, and it all ends up falling flat. The right way to do this is to learn from last year, but not put too much pressure on it. Go there, treat it as a brand new game, even try and get last year out your mind from the beginning. And then in moments in the game will present themselves that will remind players of what happened last year, and then it's about putting it right in the moment. But I think it just needs to be treated, in my opinion, as the first leg of, a 3-part competition, which is exactly what it is, Bobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, I wasn't actually in attendance at Oakwell last year, couldn't get a ticket. So I've not been thinking about last year because I wasn't there to experience it. But I think, I don't know, there's an aura that you can just feel. Whether this is just me being positive, I don't know. I just feel like we're gonna do it. I think tomorrow night we'll decide the tie. I feel like we'll walk away tomorrow knowing what's going to happen. It might only be 1-0 either way. It might even be 0-0, 1-1. But whatever it is, I feel like we're going to walk away from Oakwell with a gut feeling, knowing how it's going to go. I feel like if we lose the game by 1 goal, you've still got a chance. But Barnsley are a good side. If they've got a lead at all, they know how to see out a game, don't they?
Absolutely. But this is the thing. Look, last year, Danny, it wasn't nice. Look, last year wasn't nice, and the 1-1 draw at home, for me, made the tie a hell of a lot more difficult. Didn't feel convinced when I walked out of the tough sheet last year, as it was then the Uniball. Wasn't convinced that Bolton would go to Oakwell and be able to turn the screw in the way that Ian Everett would have wanted. Was optimistic that it could happen? Of course, because you go in there wanting the best, and you go in there thinking that it's a 90-minute game, 95-minute game, 100-minute game with added time, and anything can happen. But I think the Barnsley players were roused by what happened last year, and it is a game that you should have won and didn't. Been too many of them this season. This is a game you should win, and you have to win to take it back with a bit more of a comfort blanket.
Yeah, definitely. I think last season, obviously we was at home first, and like you said, if you used that home advantage to obviously to the best, and we'd go into Oakwell with a win, that's different. And like you said, then that game becomes more pressure on them. Obviously this time round, I think over recent seasons we've actually performed better at their ground than we did at home.
Yeah, if you look at the league campaign, we've not lost to Barnes. I can't remember the last time we lost to Barnes in the league. But even with the FA Cup game that we played at home and the playoffs, our record against Barnsley over the history of the fixture, we don't really lose to them. We've lost to them last year in the playoffs and lost to them like last year in the FA Cup. But apart from that, I can't think of when we've lost to Barnsley.
I think, like you said, we're taking each game. You can look at history, you can look at past, but it's all about on the day. And Bolton know that. Well, at one point on Saturday, when Bolton went 2-0 very early, and it was still 0-0 in the Derby game, there was hope. Yes, and then obviously Derby scored, and at that point, I think at half time, the players knew at half time, and then obviously second half.
It was more don't get injured for the playoffs.
Yeah, and then obviously Cameron Jerome 3-3, going to be 4-4 come tomorrow night.
Yeah. Well, we've got 5-4.
We've got 2 minutes left.
6-4.
We've got 2 minutes left on a poll that I put out earlier on, Danny. 7 hours ago, I put it out probably about, I think it was 10 to 2 this afternoon. 2 minutes left, so get your votes in now. Bolton FM Sport on Twitter, on X even. Have a vote. Oakwell on the agenda again tomorrow. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm confident of a win. Are we all feeling, Whites fans? 1 being low, 10 being supremely high. Of course, 1 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. You've got 2 minutes left to register your vote. Right now, Danny Rowe, tell us what the percentages are on the confidence levels of Bolton fans.
Yeah, so between 1 and 3, you got 15, or just short of 16%. Between 3 and 6, you've just got short of 29%. Between 6 and 8, which is the majority of the fans, are just short of 40%, and then the more confident ones between 8 and 10 are just short of 16%. So
101 votes, 40% almost. So 40 out of 100 are saying that
they're over halfway.
You know, they between 6 to 8 on a scale of how confident they are that Bolton can go tomorrow and win. Will it be 1-0 or 2-0? Bobby, where you stand on that?
Well, I've been thinking throughout the week, if you offered me a draw at Oakwell to make it a one-leg game at the Tough Sheet, I'd have bitten your hand off for it. But now I'm thinking about it. Would I? I don't think I would. I think
like the polar opposites of last season, where we draw the first game and then they come out of place and we win 1-0.
Yeah, but at the minute, if you ask me, if you don't have to play tomorrow, but we'll give you a 0-0 draw and you make it a one-leg game at home, will you take that? I don't think I would. I think I'd rather go and play tomorrow because I'd like to think we're the favourites to win despite being away from home. I think we've got a very, very, very good chance of going to Oakwell and winning.
I do.
Obviously. A better chance of going there and winning than losing, I think, as a fan.
I think tomorrow is a key factor, but then you look at last season's playoffs. Was it Peterborough with a 5-0? 4-0 up?
Yeah, and lost.
So, sometimes...
But that was...
Doesn't matter.
With the home advantage was different, but yeah, your point still stands.
And this is the thing, so sometimes you can go into tomorrow's game and if you do get a good result, you don't want to be naive going into the home fixture.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to play like it's 0-0 still, or even possibly play like you're 1-0 down.
Yeah, like you said, you don't want that complacency.
Yeah,
like Peterborough last season, they thought they were well and truly at Wembley, they weren't.
So, based off that, do you think if we lose 3 or 4-0, which I don't think we will, and I'd like to think we wouldn't, do you think there's still a chance?
No.
Why?
I agree with that.
It depends, because obviously they've got nothing to lose.
Barnsley are totally different side to Peterborough.
If Barnsley won, listen,
they'd shut up shop.
Don't even want to say it, but you've got to say it because you've got to anticipate. You know
both sides of the coin.
That regardless of their form in the league, it goes out the window now. It's not the league. Do you know what I mean? They'll have been rallied.
You could have played awful all season, but these are the only 2 games that matter.
So now, I mean, if Barnsley to go and do what I think Bolton can go and do tomorrow and win 2-0 at home, I think that then you've got to start looking at players and going, right, well, if we're to recover this, you've got to score 3, you've got to win it. You score 2, you go to penalties. Again, extra time penalties. Is there, great
We've already lost on penalties once this season.
Great lads, great characters. But being a good character and having character in a game are 2 different things. Character and character aren't the same thing. It's the same word, but being a nice character, a good person, and having aggression in your character on a football pitch when you're at a deficit, very, very different demand. And I'm not quite sure, even at 2-0, and this isn't me being, if you lose 2-0, it's done, because there's 90-odd minutes to play, 100 minutes maybe, plus to play. But Barnsley will not have any problem coming here and going, well, we'll just play like Burton then and sit.
Yeah, well, because Barnsley and Peterborough are a totally different side, aren't they? Well, Peterborough
completely different.
And Peterborough weren't going to go and sit in with you against Wednesday last year.
But Barnsley could come here at 2-0
absolutely
and frustrate the hell out of it.
This is the thing though, isn't it, right? You can see, and I know for a fact, that teams like that will know what to do and have got the players to, if they are winning, can sit back and grind out a 0-0 or a draw in the reverse fixture. As long as they've got it, as long as they've done their job in the first fixture, you don't want the first leg. You don't want to make your job harder for the second leg. You want to make it as easy as possible. But no game's easy, and anything can change. Like we said, we look at last season's playoffs. It's crazy. Ideally, Bolton on the course of the whole of this season deserve to be in there based on points. But when it comes to playoffs, all that goes out the window. You're all on 0 points.
Yeah.
It's who can get the job done, who's got the mindset, who's got the... Look at all these chances that Bolton have squandered this season and in big games and in games where we could have gone and won, and we may not have been in this position.
You could make a 10-minute compilation.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we easily could, if not longer.
Absolutely.
Probably 90 minutes worth of missed chances and great opportunities that would have got us over the line.
Yeah, well, this is it.
Now it's now or never.
Comfortably as well.
But you
In
know, I
March.
know it was very number heavy last week, but what Alfie went away and did as part of his work experience was eye opening. It was, third in league, but Danny, you've said it many times yourself this year. Bobby, I don't know if you agree or you agreed with Danny when he said it. I certainly did. I think Keane hugely agreed with Danny as well at the time. The position's been false for weeks. Do you know what I mean? It's been, especially around the time Derby were losing, you went on that four game drawing run between you, 2 each, and it was like nobody wanted it. And I think the Barnsley fans tweeted and the Bolton fans tweeted, didn't they, to each other?
None of us wanted it.
We're the two clubs that probably would end up not going up. Do you know what I mean? Like who wants it more? And it,
But then
at one stage
neither did
Barnsley.
Barnsley didn't want it either. Peterborough kind of flirted with it a little bit.
Yeah.
They dropped
But they
off a
missed out
bit.
chances in Oxford.
Oxford.
But the stats last week that we went through, the numbers, to not be scoring enough goals against the sides in and around you again, it reminds me of that first half of the season a couple of years ago. Different squad, but again, the sides in the middle eight again, Dan. Not doing it against the sides that are your direct competitors, and it's cost Bolton automatic promotion.
Strangely enough, the top 6 sides, if you made a table at the top 6 sides for them playing against each other, you get the exact order top 6 that it is in the league.
There you go.
Which is that,
So that shows that if you...
They've been the best 16.
The better you do against top 6 sides, the higher you'll be up in the table.
What you've also got to look at as well is Bolton, out of all of the teams that are in this playoffs, are the only team out of the four that have actually been in the top 3 all season.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
So
Barnsley have dropped out at certain points.
Yeah.
Oxford have not been in. Peterborough, you know what I mean? They've
dropped out of the top 3.
Out of the top 6.
Top 6. Us and who?
We're the only team that's not dropped lower than the top 6.
Yes.
Out of them. So at some point, Lincoln were in the...
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So we've been consistently up there.
Yeah.
Just not enough to get us where we needed to be. And Derby themselves can count themselves lucky at certain times that the teams like Bolton slipped up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And vice versa. Because Portsmouth, one thing that Portsmouth did is they were consistent.
Yeah,
they were very consistent.
The thing is, Bobby, you sat there, didn't you? It was that 1 week that Danny was looking after. I think it was Jacob or Thomas that week where they were poorly.
A week off.
Yeah, and you sat there, Bob, and you said to me, we both said to each other, we looked at each other and we looked at the running. It must have been we were about 21, 22 games to go, and we said 10 last 10 are going to be crucial. And then we looked at who you were playing in the last 10, and we looked at the Peterborough game on the final day, looked at the Pompey game and said, I think you'll be up by then, it'll be a title decider. There was games within that last 13, 14 games that you threw points away in.
Exeter.
When
did we... It feels like we played Charlton not long ago, but I think Charlton was a while ago now.
That Exeter game, if we'd gone on and won that, we would have been up.
One of the best first halves I've seen us play.
Even Portsmouth at home.
Chances squandered at...
Derby away. Yes. It's hard to say. It's hard to look at Derby away.
But then
Portsmouth at home, definitely, because we had some big chances in that game.
Oxford away. Yeah. As well, earlier on.
Not Lincoln, Leighton Orient.
We should never have lost to Carlisle.
That again, you know what I mean, with the goal and the chances in the first half. He comes out, punishes you in the second half, and he's thinking, dear me, Richie Wellens has done a number here. And, everybody dropped points this season against sides they shouldn't have dropped against.
100%.
But when you were top of the league and you knew that you should have really, based on where we went last season.
We weren't top for long though, were we?
But you should have been in the top 2 and literally saying to everybody, well, listen, we're the top dogs here. We're 3 years in League One and third, like I said, very good league position in the end. And yes, an improvement. You ask the manager, it's an improvement. Statistically, it's an improvement in the last 2 seasons. But it doesn't matter if you don't cement this playoff final qualification and then lay it on whoever gets there in the
finishing
final.
third in League One or even the Championship and whatever doesn't mean anything unless you get to Wembley, get to the playoff final, and then go on and win it.
We can finish 6th, like you said, and Oxford finished 13, 14 behind.
Aston Villa did it in the Championship,
and they could go up.
And look where Aston Villa are now. Obviously, they're losing tonight, but they had a six game winning streak, which got them in on the final day of the season, and then they went on and won the playoffs.
Yeah,
and they've been in the Premier League since.
So usually that 6th place team comes in on a run of form, and they're the team you don't want to play because they've surged up the table. But luckily, Barnsley have dropped from third and just scraped into that second place.
It was Dean Smith, weren't it, that got Villa with 13 games to go, 13th in the league, sorry, with like 20-odd games to go. And he took them straight up. And it was Tammy Abraham, Jack Grealish, John McGinn. Brilliant side, but again, characters. And these are the kinds of players we're looking for from Bolton. I mean,
big players in big moments.
Who's Bolton's Grealish? Who's Bolton's Abraham? And who's Bolton's John McGinn? Do you know what I mean? We know who they are. We know who they are. We know who them players are within the Bolton Wanderers shirt. And we're looking for them boys to step up now over the next 3 games and get you over the line and back into the Championship, where Bolton Wanderers rightfully belong first and foremost. And then you look at the Premier League in the next 3 to 4 years. I'd love Everett to do it. I'd love him to be the man to do what he said he wanted to do and get you back up 2 divisions. But we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
You can't say it's impossible, because Ipswich, they're 1 point away.
That is so crazy to me.
It's unbelievable. Like last season, they weren't even in. They were nowhere near, and then all of a sudden they went on that unbelievable run.
Last season we drew away from home at Ipswich Town is at the minute is a monumental achievement.
The season before you beat them 5-2.
We did the double over them that year, actually.
So they went on a mad run, got themselves in them automatic promotion places, got promoted, and then this season they've just continued, and they've not really done much different.
Have they dropped out of 4th? I think they've been in the top 4 the whole season.
They've literally been up there. Like, you look at Leeds, who have probably shot themselves in the foot. We know Leicester are champions now, aren't they?
It shows you at any level.
Sure.
At any level.
Yeah, I think they're champions.
At any level that it can happen, can't it?
Of course it can.
Before we go for a quick breather, you get yourself a brew and a couple of biscuits and whatever for the second hour of the show. Well, on the agenda again tomorrow, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you of a win? The final scores here are 1 to 3, 15.7%, 3 to 6, 29.4%, 6 to 8, 39.2%, and 8 to 10, 15.7% in terms of 1 being low and 10 being high. 102 votes, final result. Bolton fans are confident you can get a win. See what we think just after this.
At 96.5 on your smart speaker, and now on DAB Digital Radio. This is Bolton FM.
There we go then. Welcome back to, of course, Football for Analysis right here on Midweek Analysis. Of course, don't forget to tune in next week from 8 o'clock again for Midweek Analysis presents Our Sport in Town, where we talk all things Bolton. Of course, the town that we all live in. Of course, the town where Fred Dibner was born, Peter Kay, Vernon Kay, of course, Franny Lee, and let's not forget the spinning mule, Danny Rowe, of course, that is a very famous bit of kit right here in Bolton. We love celebrating our town, and of course, we can do that every week from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock in a sporting way. Of course, we're going to continue talking about your Bolton Wanderers now, though. And of course, that track Alex Adair there, down with the 2014-2015 Classic. We all remember having a boogie of that in the bars that we used to work in. Make me feel better. What would make you feel better coming away from tomorrow night's game, Danny Rowe?
A win, obviously.
Absolutely.
nothing more than a win.
A draw not good enough for you, Dan?
I think it is, because you're coming back to the tough sheet. But
different last year, wasn't it?
As I said, you want to make it as easy as possible going into that next list. So if you have got, if for example we come with a 1-0 win at Oakwell and came back
over the moon.
Do you know what I mean? And they scored first. Even though you're behind in the actual game, you're still in the tide. Do you know what I mean? You're not chasing your tail, because obviously when you're chasing your tail, you get a bit. Well, you can get caught out on the counter because you're pushing yourself far. They're going to sit in, and as you said,
I think if we walk away from Oakwell with a draw, I'd be happy. But if you were to offer me a draw right now and say don't play tomorrow, just take a draw, I don't think I would, because I do think we can go and win.
Oh yeah, 100%. I do feel like we're going to.
But I would still, at full time, if it's a draw, I will still be happy. So I would take a draw at the end of the game, but I wouldn't take a draw instead of playing.
Depends on how the game goes as well, because if we're dominant in the game.
Yeah.
Would you want to come away with it?
I think you'd still walk away and go, at least we've still got the advantage.
Not because then you could be talking, these missed chances again have cost us.
I suppose so. But I think you've got to look, we've got a game on Tuesday, we're at home, it's a one-leg tie.
Obviously, having home advantage second time round is
massive.
It's obviously much better than what it was. Right? I think, 100%. Because you've got what, 20,000 fans behind you.
Yeah.
We were hoping that. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we know there's been a lot of trouble with tickets over the last couple of days.
Open sale, they'll absolutely fly off the shelves.
And tomorrow's result will probably influence that as well.
Yeah, of course it will.
Obviously, it's a bit of a tough one, because obviously financially for people, you've got Barnsley tomorrow night, and then you've got the home fixture, and then if we do get to Wembley, you've got the travel cost and expenses to get to Wembley. cost of living and all that, it can be quite difficult.
Right,
and,
yeah,
and I can understand why some people maybe like sat on the fence thinking, well, if I go to the home game, will I realistically be able then to go and afford to go to Wembley? And it's obviously not a nice position to be in, and I hope there's nobody out there that are in that position, but there will be.
Yeah, but mate, listen, football is one of those things that we love, and
you got your kids.
mate, it's not a game to any of us. No. Any of us any of us in the studio, anyone listening to this show tonight that's a massive football fan knows that it's more than just a game. Do you know what I mean? Football is going with your granddad, going with your nan, going with your wife, your girlfriend,
your daughter.
your son, your daughter, your whole family, your best mates, people you've just met, people you're introduced to on the day. I met people at Wembley when I went with Scott and Gary back in 2011. For the cup semi against United, and they're introducing me to lads at Airside Cricket Club I'd never met before.
Yeah.
But straight away, it's like we're all going together for a mutual thing. We all want the same result. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? What's your name? What? Paul. Lovely to meet you, Paul. And then by the end of the day, Paul's brilliant. You're singing with him, you're arm round him, you're crying with him. It's brilliant. So we all know that it's about emotion, it's about passion, it's about dedication. And none of that disappears when you just can't physically afford the way that football's gone.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Bolton being at the top level, of course, third division, but Bolton want to get back to the top and are probably the most top division club. I'd say one of the most top division clubs outside of the top division in terms of the infrastructure, the stadium, the way the club's run now, the turnover that we believe the club have now got, the financial stability that the club are trying to create with the CEO, with Sharon, with everything at the football club. And of course, there's a professional way of doing things at Bolton Wanderers, but that doesn't mean that with all that, the fans all of a sudden become richer or... the fans also become a lot more financially better off. People can only afford what they can afford, Danny. And when you've got shirts, you've got kit, you've got cars pasties, you've got this, that and the other, it all tallies up and it's just not able to... You're not able to do all three games, are you?
And ultimately, that's possibly what it's going to go down to for a lot of people. Obviously, Tuesday night being obviously midweek as well. Obviously, kids are not half-term anymore.
No.
So if you've got young uns... you'd want them to... You obviously want to take them, but then at the same time, like, what's more important for them?
Do you know what I mean? And they don't get it right now either. They don't quite get it, the kids, do they? So when you look at, we get it.
Yeah.
But if you got a little lad, he's only 9 or 10. He's only just really... He knows it's Bolton Wanderers, but he doesn't really get... Or Jacob, for example, 7, don't really understand the ins and outs of football, or they're not fully connected with the emotion of it. The core of the team wins, but they don't know what's going on outside of that, i.e. the fact that the referees give a bad decision and they could be playing, you know what I mean, at the time or whatever. But when it really starts to become a thing, I'd say, is around... I remember I was 10, 11, when I really, started to really get it, as a fan.
Yeah.
And there'll be kids there that will have begged mum and dad, carers, nanas and granddads, guardians, to take them, older brothers and sisters. I know I've got school, but please take me to Oakwell, I really want to go. And they'll be like 11, 12, 13 that have just started to really get what it means. And some of them will have had to have been told, no, you've got school in the morning. But when push comes to shove, Dan, there'll be a lot of fans that have missed out that wanted to go for financial reasons or for educated reasons like that, that have or work. But it doesn't mean that those fans that you genuinely know would have gone and would have backed the lads, win, lose or draw, in everybody's hearts that are going to Oakwell tomorrow.
And it doesn't help that it's on telly as well, does it?
No, not really.
No.
Not really. But credit to Bolton again. I know the allocation wasn't what you wanted.
Don't you worry.
I know the allocation wasn't what you wanted.
Again, I don't like that. Obviously,
it sounds massive, innit?
The thing is, right, this is what I don't understand, right? So the EFL posted, we're going to make sure that these games are going to be on weekends. That's what they said. And then the instant that we get there, actually, sorry, we're going to have to do it Friday because Sheffield United are at home and obviously Yorkshire, so is it South Yorkshire players? Ain't going to be able to manage. So so we're going to get moved to. So we're now moving till Friday. Again, Friday night, giving 2,000 200 or something tickets in a 5. Was it near enough, just short of 6,000?
Yeah, well, my dad's got a ticket for tomorrow, but he's struggling to get time off work, so he's not even going to know until tomorrow if he can finish early at 3:30 on that. So if he can't, how he's going to get there, we don't know yet.
The Sheffield United game's not going to be on TV, right? So why not move it to Friday Night Football, televise it, and then
you can have 2 games on TV
Saturday?
Because I don't think anybody wants to watch Sheffield United right now.
Well, because there is already a Friday Night Football game.
There is Friday Night Football game, yeah, but put it on. And it's just
it doesn't make sense because if you put the Sheffield United on Friday night, they don't have to be on TV, but there already is a Friday Night Football.
But the Bolton game has to be on TV.
And with the Saturday 3 o'clock, but it's playoff game, so you can put it on TV anyway. Because we were Saturday 3 o'clock, of course, last year at home, and that was on television.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
I don't know.
Danny,
there's going to be 2 games on tomorrow night, but there'll be no games on Saturday 3 o'clock now on telly for people who want to watch.
No, there will be. Peterborough.
No, they're 7:45.
They are,
on a Saturday night?
Yeah, this is what I don't get about the whole schedule.
To be fair, they're quite close.
It's not really good, is it?
Why for even television-wise, you'd put us at 3 o'clock? I don't know. It doesn't really make sense, but it is what it is.
We go back to what we were saying earlier on, sorry, Bob, for a second, about the scale of 1 to 10 how confident Bolton fans. We said 39.2% are saying that they're between 6 to 8 on the 1 to 10 scale of confidence. Very, very nice, that, Danny, to see that Bolton fans are going optimistic. 102 votes, 39.2%. Macaulay Roberts has been in touch. Don't see why we can't go and get a result tomorrow night. All we need to do, is get the ball moving at pace and be clinical, which is something we've all cried for more of this season. We've shown this a few times this year, and we can do it again. I think that's how you've got to approach the Barnsley game. You've got to go there and not be as passive, not be as slow in transition. You've got to, play a bit more direct at times. And
be confident.
Be confident and go there, with a point to prove. And if Ian ever wants to remind him of what happened last year, do it. If you think that's the best approach, then do it. And I'm sure he will do.
I personally think, if it was me, if I was the player, how that would motivate me, and I'd want him, and I'd be like, well, we played these last year, and we got, ultimately we fell at the final hurdle. This year we've been a lot better, points wise and whatever, than we were last season. Yeah. So this time, we thoroughly deserve it more than what we probably did last season. So we do need to go in and make sure that we get this, because for even them, as a player, obviously we all know that there's some of the big contracts in there that they're getting bonuses if they get promoted and stuff, whatever. There has to be. Obviously, if you're getting promoted to the Championship, you're likely to see a wage increase as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That'll be written into contracts.
Incentive is there.
The incentive of getting to Wembley and getting a club like Bolton Wanderers.
Yes. Getting a club like Bolton Wanderers, you just epitomised what we're all trying to say.
As I said to all of us last week, there's only a handful of players that have played higher than League One.
Yes.
So that is a very good.
So that's an incentive for them.
Yeah.
To push their career as well.
They're at an age where they could go up potentially and give themselves a couple of years up there. And if you don't look at Bolton Wanderers, and they've got Championship experience, they might go and get a club where, they fighting relegation every year, but they're playing in the Championship, playing against the biggest sides and the sides that have dropped down from the Premier League. Danny, there was another poll that we did earlier on. In fact, it was last night, and it was more to do with the Bolton Wanderers. In fact, it was the other night, actually, wasn't it? It was more to do with Bolton Wanderers in terms of fan opinions, and if the first leg of the playoff semi-final at Barnsley, obviously it is the first leg, for the best chance at a Wembley playoff final, what result the Bolton need to come away from Oakwell with. We've just been talking about that very thing. Answers discussed on Midweek Analysis on Bolton FM, which we're doing right now.
A lot of people, in fact, the majority of people, have put any draw and we do it at home.
Yeah.
Quite simple, which is pretty much what Bobby said.
Yeah. How many percent done? Out of 242 votes?
33.1%. 29.3% have said they'll take a 1-0.
No, so if the game was 1-0 now, they take it, just get off, straight back to the tough sheet.
21% said must be 2 goals ahead, and 16.5% said could draw 0-0 and do it, which is pretty much the same as any draw we do. And we do it at home. So if we had them together, you're talking 49-50% of the people said a draw, we'll do it.
Where'd you stand on that, Dan? If you're voting now, where are you banging it?
I did vote.
Where are you banging it? Yeah. Where'd you bang your vote?
I voted any draw.
Any draw and you do it?
Yeah.
Right, Bobby?
I think...
He's already said it. About 5-6 times tonight.
Yeah. Well, but what I mean is, has it changed now based on what we've just been speaking about? Have any of our opinions swayed Bobby?
Well, I think... I think we can win.
Or as the more you talk about it, sometimes you actually go, I don't know where I stand
I think if we lose, I don't think we'll go through. So I think the minimum we need tomorrow night, the worst case scenario for us to go through tomorrow night, or any draw, 1-1, 2-2, 3 or whatever. But I do think we can go win. I think if we walk away 1-0, 2-1, 2-0, if we lose at all tomorrow night, I think we'll struggle because Barnsley are so good at holding out a lead.
Yeah, they'll see.
But I think so. Minimum we want is a draw, which I'm very confident we can.
And if you look at previous results at Oakwell, you'd probably say it's probably
going to be a draw.
The more I think about it, and the fact that there's a redemption mission on from last year, I'll take a 1-0 now. I did vote, though, must be 2 goals ahead. I just think that a cushion would make it a dreamboat game on Tuesday night and allow the players to be so free that there's nothing then stopping it becoming like a 4-1 aggregate scoreline. And going into Wembley having beaten Barnsley 4-1 aggregate or something outrageous like that's outrageous, not outrageous, but convincing would be brilliant against a side like Peterborough or Oxford if Oxford can usurp Peterborough. But I think even Peterborough, if you go into that having scored 3 against them on the final day, having should have won that game, of course, making goals again, and beating Barnsley 3 or 4-1 aggregate, I think you're going favourites. So massive favourites.
If we look at the 9 meetings in the Ever era, so the last 3 years, we've played 8 times. So, after these 2 games, it'll be 9 times in the Ever era, 8 times the last 2 years.
Yes.
So we drew at Oakwell this season, so that's 1 draw. We drew at home earlier on in the season, that's 2 draws. We lost in the playoffs last year, so that's 0-2-1 as a record. Before that, in the playoffs, we drew, so that's 0-3-1. We won 3-0 at Oakwell in January, so that's 1-3-1. We lost in the FA Cup, 2 B teams, realistically, but they did still win, so that's 1-3-2. We drew before that 0-0, so that is 1-4-2, and we won on penalties before that. So in 90 minutes, it is 1-5-2. But overall, we did beat them, so it's 2 wins for Bolton, 4 draws, and 2 losses in the Ever era.
Right, so we need to turn these draws into wins.
We do, but if you obviously on that comment, obviously quite a few people did comment and obviously interact with that, and so Drac UK has put Barnsley are actually better away and we're the better side at our place, so we need at least a draw. Neil Maynell's put 5 goals wasn't enough for Peterborough last year, which we mentioned. So does it matter? He's a Barnsley fan, and I think we're here for the taking. We have punches chance, but Bolton are favourites for me, and that's from a Barnsley fan. So
nice, honest one based on how they went the season.
BFC Elliott's, but we certainly don't need to win. I'd probably take a draw. A 1-goal loss isn't a disaster anymore. Is a bit of a problem. Obviously, you disagree with that.
I half agree with it. I see what you're getting at. If you're 1 goal down, I almost would argue that if Bolton go 1-0 down in a game, we start playing better. But that if they're taking the 1-0 into the game when we need to score 2 goals to win, yes, we might come out and attack more than we would do if it was 0-0 or if we were 1-0 up. So we might play better football, but I just think Barnsley know how to shut up
shop. The best chance, obviously, is to come away from Oakwell with a win.
Absolutely.
However, if we don't get a win, a draw is just as good. Well, not just as good, but is a better. It's a good consolation prize.
Yeah, I'd argue if walk away with a draw, it's a positive result.
Yeah, it's a positive consolation prize.
Yeah. Well, who is Benny C on Twitter said, does it even need asking? The best chance to make the final is obviously winning by the biggest margin. I think it was just how I worded it.
Yeah.
He'd misread it, I think. Was that even a debate? Of course, I just put because 1-1 draw at home last year wasn't enough. I knew that full time. Listen, I can't lie, boys. I walked out of the touchline thinking, oh dear.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like we all did. We all said it on the show, didn't we?
As much as it made it a 1-leg tie, but you just kind of knew they're not to win again.
Oakwell, a big atmosphere, old-fashioned ground. Do you know, when they go into the ground, the Barnsley fans, the Yorkshire folk, aren't they? There's terraced houses around the ground. It's got this kind of spark to it.
I really like it.
It's a good one, isn't it? Obviously, I hope it's not a good one tomorrow. I hope it's good for Bolton. I hope it's not good for the Tykes. But it was a nervy atmosphere when I arrived. I remember there was a nervousness to the Bolton fans last year. You could see it. There was a lot of, even the lads I travelled over with on train, they were trying to do anything but talk about the game, really. And just kind of keep their minds off it, not get too carried away. And normally Bolton fans are quite optimistic. I remained optimistic, but the truth was, in the end, that Bolton didn't do the job in leg 1. Is it lesson learned this time? Will they learn the lesson? from whether it be at home or away. You've got to get the job done in leg one and ease the pressure. How many times this season have Bolton eased the pressure in games, knowing that there's a big game coming up? Not getting the points before you play Derby was put pressure on having to beat Derby. Do you know what I mean? Not getting the points before you play Peterborough meant that on the final day, I know it was an outside chance, but you had to beat Peterborough.
Do we
Do you
play
know what I mean?
better under pressure, Bobby?
I think
Would
you
you
play
say
worse
we play
now. This
better?
season, you've played worse under pressure than you did last season.
What do you define pressure as? Playing a big team? Because if you look
No,
at
you
that,
need the points to stay in the hunt.
Because this season we've had,
if you look
we've
at
had
it-
4 chances in terms of 4 games in hand throughout the course of the last couple of weeks,
not won any of them.
and we didn't win any of them.
But then if you look at playing the other big 6 teams, or the top 6
Oh, we beat
teams, so
Oxford
the
5-0 at
5 of the other top 6 teams, their pressure games, and our record this year against them top 6 sides have been better than it ever has been.
Yeah.
You both said.
But then, in terms of pressure, you look at Wigan, even though it's a rivalry, we don't seem to beat them, there's always that anticipation, but they still have our number.
You've both said, but no, you're right. And I mean, the Wigan game is one that we didn't mention before. That you should have
there's a
won.
lot of pressure at Wembley. We turned them over 4-0, so it's weird. You don't know how Bolton are going to
But the
perform
thing
under pressure.
is, you both said it, and I'm in agreement. I think if you win over 2 legs against Barnsley, whether it be Peterborough or Oxford, I think
beat them
that
both.
the occasion
I
you'll beat
agree.
you'll beat either.
Because I think we take 30,000.
Yeah,
If we were playing
I think that's all
Barnsley,
you'll get, 30,000.
if we were playing Barnsley at Wembley,
I won't be confident.
no.
Rapturous atmosphere though. Peterborough, Oxford.
Peterborough have already been to Wembley this
if
season.
Oxford
Yeah.
can get through Peterborough over 2 legs and convincingly, or even by scoring a couple of goals and causing them a few issues,
We beat them 5-0
you
at home,
kind of.
but you kind of got to take
But you
that
look
back.
at them and you go, dear me, we don't really know what to expect from you now. You've been a bit hot and cold. I still
see what
think
you
you
mean.
should do them at Wembley.
Well, Oxford beat Peterborough 5-0 3 weeks ago.
That's what I'm saying. So you just don't know. But I do think Peterborough will win that over 2 legs.
I
And I
agree.
think you beat Peterborough at
Oh,
Wembley.
well, no matter who,
So-
if it's Peterborough or Oxford at Wembley, provided we do get to Wembley, neither of those I don't think will take more than 20,000 fans. Obviously, Peterborough have already been.
Yeah.
They've never lost at Wembley, actually, Peterborough. But I don't think they've been very many
Right,
times.
so in put into
I will take
perspective,
30,000.
Yeah.
That's a massive.
Massive.
That's like a home game.
Yeah.
10,000 more fans.
you look at Plymouth last season.
Yeah.
We played at Wembley, comfortably beat them. Plymouth last season are arguably a lot better than Peterborough and Oxford and Barnsley.
Not even arguably, they just are.
So
Yeah.
you know you can do it. You
Yeah.
can beat these teams, and it's frustrating. Obviously,
Yeah.
look at Luton for example. We took it to replay. I know Luton haven't been the greatest of teams this season,
Well,
but they have.
in fact, I'd actually say we were better than them at home. I know they beat us, but
Yeah.
I'd argue we were the
over the
better
course
side.
of the game, you play the better football.
Well, we scored, we made it
you're the
2-all,
better
and
side,
even
yeah.
still, I'm not sure that was the right
I think you
decision.
worked harder in the game as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
so-
more intensity and more desire.
So you look at it like we put a Premier League team to the sword at one point, and
Over 2 games, you could say in
But
large
then,
parts.
literally 3 days later, after that Luton game, we were so good, we lost to Leighton Orient away from home.
I know.
which
I know.
again sometimes like look, but we mentioned it. I mentioned it last week. West Ham after every European game,
Yeah.
they've gone and lost.
Yeah.
When you put all your energy into
One game.
one game,
Luckily, we've got a 11-day break between the second leg and hopefully, which will be Wembley.
yeah. But then at the same time, are you going to put all your energy in on Friday
Yeah,
and burn it for
absolutely.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
So it's game management, player
I think
management.
nice thought, that is it.
I think you'll know with 20 minutes to go how that's going to go with the scoreline and the substitutions made.
And don't forget the shoes on the other foot for Barnsley as well.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a
absolutely
nice
is.
thought. I mean, obviously, you win. A win's a win. You win 1-0 and you score it in the 80th, but you've had to put it right in to get it. It could end up costing you Tuesday.
Yeah.
But listen, that's football, and the rough comes with smooth.
But-
the tough comes with the easy, and like I said, the best team will win here, and the ones that want it the most. It's not like you can't look at any results this season. You can't look at form. All goes out the window. There's 2 games and a playoff final at Wembley. Right, there'll be fans screaming at me now, saying, why are you doing that? Me, you and Bobby ultra optimistic now, okay? We think Bolton are going to get over Barnsley in both legs, and Bolton go to Wembley. They're playing Peterborough on the 18th of May. What score does it finish?
3-2
Wembley?
Bolton.
Yeah.
I'm just very confident playing at Wembley. I think it'd be 3-0.
Right.
No,
I want it because